Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, MarBeth Dunn. MarBeth is an energy management specialist. She helps highly empathic and sensitive professionals to achieve greater confidence, alignment, financial success, emotional freedom, peace of mind, and more harmonious relationships. MarBeth has been a spiritual teacher for over 30 years and a master of energy healing. MarBeth uses her intuitive abilities to accurately pinpoint the hidden issues that hold you from achieving your greater and highest potential. Before starting and going with MarBeth, we want to remind you that Mindalia TV is a non-profit organization. Our only mission is just to share information and help raise the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us just by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down below, liking this video, and also sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit from the content that we're sharing today. Also, we want to let you know that we have the live chat while we are live streaming. While we are live streaming, I'm sorry, we have the active chat. It's a great tool for you to enter the questions that you may have in regards to what MarBeth is going to be teaching us today. At the end of the talk, she will be answering kindly. Also, we want to let you know that Mindalia TV is streaming in Portuguese, English, and Spanish every day, almost all day. So you can just refer to our other channels and feel free if you want to, share or see content in those languages, or if you have something to say, feel free to contact us. We're going to be happy to have you. Without further delay, we are going to be leaving you with MarBeth. MarBeth?
Oh, thank you so much, Mirna. That's so nice. And I'm really excited to be here. And we're going to be talking tonight about stopping your self-sabotaging patterns with energy management. Now, have you ever wondered why you keep choosing the same romantic partner in a different wrapping? Or why, when things look really great financially, you pull defeat out of the jaws of victory? Or why you develop health issues when you begin an exciting new path? Well, everybody is unique, and energy management is a holistic framework for enhancing your life individually. It synthesizes energy healing, different techniques, spiritual principles, empowerment training, mind expansion, and yoga. It's a broad spectrum approach to life challenges that are caused by a number of issues that are simple or they could be very complex. And a little bit later on the call, I want to share with you a very exciting project that has been developing over the last 2 months. And I think you're going to want to hear it. It totally ties in with the energy management. So I'm a Kundalini yoga instructor. That's some of the training that I've received. And Kundalini yoga teaches us that humans have 10 bodies. One of them is an energy body, an emotional body, and these overlap your physical body. And often unresolved issues in these bodies can generate sickness, financial distress, relationship issues, and unhappiness. And energy management can help clear these issues through a variety of different techniques. Now, as a spiritual being, which we're going to get into this a little bit more too, you have access to unlimited wisdom, unlimited power, unlimited abundance, and unlimited peace. And yet, sadly, most people are not aware of how magnificent you are. Energy management can help you reconnect to Source, God, the universe, and restore your power and peace of mind. Now, your thoughts are incredibly powerful, and the average person can generate 80,000 thoughts in a day. That's according to Deepak Chopra. A Course in Miracles will advise that there is no such thing as an idle thought. So have you allowed your thinking to keep you small and powerless? We have simple techniques to shift your self-sabotaging thoughts and beliefs, to dynamic ones that empower you to be your greatest, most amazing, most magnificent self. I'm very, very passionate about helping to create a peaceful planet, one beautiful soul at a time. And I will share with you my peace project that is going on right now as you're watching this video. So we've got lots to cover tonight, and hope you've got some paper and some pencil and or pen and or your computer and you're taking notes. But let's get started. So who are we? You know, we seem like we are very solid in our bodies, but are we? Now, scientists have told us that we're made out of atoms. I think everybody would agree that the human body is comprised of atoms. We have perhaps 1 trillion atoms in our bodies. I don't know the exact number. I have no clue. However, I do know that an atom is comprised of a nucleus and electrons, neutrons, and a lot of tiny little quarks and tiny little micro elements, some of which have not even been seen. They've been theorized about by scientists. But one thing that's prevailing in atoms is that there's a huge amount of space between each of these elements. And so if you took an atom and all the atoms in your body and you compressed all of the space so that they were just these little dense particles of matter, and you condensed it all, it would fit inside an apple seed. So what does that say about us? Well, that space that's between the elements in the atoms is energy. Or, as science has been proving lately, it's spirit. We are energetic beings. And as energetic beings, we interconnect with each other on levels that are not physical. Now, I promised you that, well, here's what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk about who we are. We're going to discuss the 3 levels of being. We're going to discuss what it's like to be at every level and why it's important to be happy and peaceful. And we're going to talk a bit about miracles. And then we're going to talk about some of the blocks to our happiness and success. So we've got a lot of material to cover. So now we know that we are comprised of energy. And Einstein, his famous equation was E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass. It equals the matter. Energy and matter can transpose into each other. So it's a pretty dynamic experience. And so as energy beings, and I said we had several layers of bodies. You know, we have these different bodies. We have this energy body. Now, we also have these energy centers in our body that are called the chakras. And the 7 main ones start with your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And then the next one is the sacral. It's a few inches below your navel. And then there is your solar plexus, which is a little above your navel. Then we have our heart chakra, which is in the center of your chest, our throat chakra, the ajna chakra or third eye, and we have the crown. Now, all of these energy centers are very important because they govern different elements of our lives. And if I like to think of them as pyramidal in form, so that the root chakra would have a wider base. Now, many people who are very spiritual believe that they need to be in these upper chakras, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. However, when you are primarily living from these upper energy centers, you're off balance. You really need to have a wider base so that you're very well balanced. And we can do some exercises tonight, some energy management exercises that will show you how you can navigate within these centers. The centers have different colors: red at the base, orange for the sacral, golden or yellow for the solar plexus, green for the heart, blue for the throat, a beautiful indigo blue for the ajna or third eye, and then a violet for the crown chakra. And each of these govern different aspects of our lives. So the root chakra is it is connected to anger, it's connected to fear, it's connected to ancestral issues or tribal issues. It has to do with security. So there are a number of things, and it governs different elements of your body. It governs your legs, it governs your lower organs, and just above that is the sacral chakra, which is orange in color. And that one is about creativity. It's about relationships, and it's governs our reproductive system. So it's very creative space. And then we move into the solar plexus, and that's about your will. And I generally find that a lot of relationship stuff gets caught up here in this solar plexus. It has to do with your feeling good about yourself. It has to do with your power, your self-power. And then our heart chakra is the connection to our divinity. It's the gateway to the divine. And it's from this space that we can connect with other people in a very beautiful and loving way. We also, in our chest, we very often can hold grief or sadness. As we move up into the throat chakra, well, I very often, when I'm working with people, I can feel that there are a lot of emotions that get trapped here, things that weren't said, emotions that were not expressed. This is where we express ourselves, and it's also a center of creativity. And as we move into the third eye, the center of our intuition, this is a very, very powerful connector, as well as is the 1,000-petal lotus of our crown chakra, which is another place we receive divine inspiration. So these are basically the different chakras. And why did I bring them up? Because we're energy, and these are energy centers. And these look like spinning discs. They have a front and a back. They indent. They say this is the front of the disc. It gets smaller in the middle and then expands out in the back. And they can get clogged. They can get clogged up, and they can get out of balance. And it's important to have them all spinning freely. And we'll get into why in a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the 3 levels of being. The first one is the physical. When we're on the physical, feeling that we're just physical bodies, we feel very separate from other people. We feel like we have our own thoughts. We feel like this is mine, this is my life, and we feel very solid. But as we discussed, we're really energy. We're not really as solid as we appear, even though it seems like we are. We're not. The second level would be more of the energy level, and you start to become more aware of that you're not really isolated, that we can merge our energetic fields with other people. Now, the Institute of Heart Math has done many scientific studies on the field of the heart. And one of the things that they discovered was that the magnetic field of the heart is 5,000 times greater, more powerful than that of the brain. How interesting is that? And that our heart fields can expand and extend out and they can merge and interact with the fields of other people. Now, I know you're saying, well, am I energy? How do you know that? So have you ever gone into a party and you noticed that the vibes weren't good? You just didn't like how it felt when you were there. So you left. Now you could have gone to another place and it felt really good. It felt light. You're feeling the energy of that space. You're feeling the energy of the other people. You're interacting with the energy and you're reacting to it and say, this feels good or this doesn't feel good. And perhaps you've met someone and you just got a really negative feeling. Maybe you just had a warning, like it felt like danger. Maybe you felt like the hair on your arm stood up or the hair on the back of your neck. Something told you. You're interacting with that field and you're getting information. Now, in this level, we recognize that we're patterns of light and information, and those patterns can affect us in many different ways. On the next level is our spiritual level. Now, on our spiritual level, we are limitless. We are created in the image of our Creator, which is pure spirit. We are light beings that have no definition. We are pure love. We are pure peace, pure joy. We have access to limitless wisdom and limitless power. And much like ice turns from water into steam, it's similar analogy to our beings, because we are the physical, which is equivalent to the ice, solid, more isolated, and then we move into water, and any elements, all those ice cubes suddenly are now all blended together. And then as we move into steam, we are formless. And those are the three levels of being. And that gives you an idea of what it's like to be at each of those levels. So why is it important to be happy and peaceful, joyful? Well, I think you know the answer to this one. It's important because it feels good. It feels really good to be happy and joyous and peaceful. And this is our natural state. But what happens when we experience trauma, we experience negative experiences, someone hurts us, we feel pain, we've gone through some kind of a difficult experience, we've gone through a loss. These are all things that affect us. And if we don't release these experiences, they can become energetic blockages within our energetic bodies and emotional bodies. These emotions become trapped. And very often you're not aware of it. You think, well, I just experienced that so many years ago. Why is, that's not bothering me anymore. That would happen a long time ago. I forgot about it. But very often those emotions, they stay within you. And unless you can release them, they can create a lot of different blockages, which is what we started to talk about, the self-sabotaging patterns that we want to be able to heal. So some of the blocks that we experience are maybe family patterns. So perhaps as you were growing up, your family was not perfect. Maybe they were very dysfunctional. Maybe there was abuse. And maybe you are still carrying a lot of scars from having that particular experience. So when you are moving through life, if you had a difficult relationship with your mother or your father, very often we create those relationships over and over again until we heal them. That's one of the reasons that, you feel like, oh my gosh, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? Well, because you're attracting it until you're ready to move past that and attract something different. And I'll give you an example. I had a very difficult childhood, and for a number of reasons. And my father had been very abusive with my mother. And what did I attract? I attracted a difficult marriage. And I thought, well, these people are so different. This isn't like, my father. This isn't like, other people that were in my life that had that same pattern. I didn't recognize it because it had different clothing on, had a whole different lifestyle, had all different mannerisms, but the same patterns were there. And we will keep attracting those patterns until we break free. And there are a number of reasons that we can be holding on to those patterns. Yes, we can be holding on to them because of this childhood situation. And very often it's complex. Sometimes there's another element involved where you developed a belief system like, I'm not important. I don't deserve anything. Maybe you just have such low self-esteem because of that experience that you pull that same person in. Or also, there are people who are very sensitive, like I am, who are empathic and who are, there's an attraction. There seems to be a pattern that narcissists and empaths tend to attract each other. Empaths are very loving, very caring, and that just seems to be something that happens. So it's important to be able to remove these patterns because, for one thing, you feel a lot better when you release them. And studies have shown, they create stress. Stress can create all kinds of problems. It can create insomnia. It can create illness, weight gain, weight loss. It can negatively affect your self-esteem, your relationships, your productivity, and finances, and a lot of other things that seem to be completely unrelated, but they can affect your success and they can keep you stuck. So one of the things was these childhood patterns that, that we keep repeating. And I want to give you another story, another example. One of the clients that I worked with, I can call her Tina. That's not her real name. She had a very difficult relationship with her father. And as a result, he was very distant, didn't really connect. And so she never really had any kind of a warm, fuzzy relationship with him at all. And as a result, she married a couple of times people that were very distant. They were not there for her. And then when she came to me, she was very attached to someone who, again, had exhibited the same behavior. And as we cleared this pattern, and we're going to talk like miracles, a miracle happened. Because as she cleared this pattern within herself, her relationship with her father changed. And one day, it was her birthday, and he was 90 years old. And he made a dinner for her birthday. He surprised her. He made lobster and string beans. He just created this whole experience for her. And, she recognized this was a miracle because this was the first time in her life, and he was 90 years old, that he had ever exhibited this type of caring and love for her. Really a beautiful thing. So as you release these issues, you're creating a space for loving miracles to occur. So that's a beautiful thing. Now, the next thing that we also talked about, and I want to go into a little bit further, are these self-sabotaging beliefs. Now, Henry Ford said that what you think, if you think you can, you can, and if you think you can't, you can't. And so we're going to explore this. And I just wanted to say also that when you're in a pattern, so often we can't recognize it. I did not recognize that I was attracting narcissists into my life. When you're inside the pattern, it's like you're inside a jar and you can't read that label on the outside of the jar, much as you want to. So you really may need a different vantage point to be able to see what's really happening with you. And then after, you understand what's happening, then you have the power to shift it. It's a beautiful thing. So when you have these different beliefs, here's the way it works. So when you were a child, you didn't have any filters. You were like a little sponge. You just absorbed everything. Your family's values, your playmates' values, their beliefs, their thought patterns. You learn from your siblings, you learn from your teachers, you learn from your classmates, from the TV, from your church, your community. You acquired many, many beliefs, and a lot of them just don't serve you any longer. And the weird thing about beliefs is that they tend to be like transparent lenses or filters. And when you are looking at the world through these filters, you can't see that they're there. So if you're looking through, these filters, a filter that says, well, money doesn't grow on trees, or good things never happen to people like me, or money is the root of all evil, or I'm not good with money, or women aren't successful. Guess what? Your inner world is creating your outer world. You really want to be careful what you think. But you may not even be aware that you're thinking it. These may be just a deep-seated belief, something that you know is true. And it's so transparent, you don't even see it. So because you have always looked at life through these particular lenses, you don't have another reference point. And the irony is they become your truth. It becomes your reality. It's the only way things can be. And they're insidious. They are hidden, and they can keep you completely stuck. So how can you recognize and reframe these hidden beliefs when you don't even know they're there? So grab your notebook, and I want you to write down a sentence about something that's been keeping you stuck, a place where you are stuck. And here's an example. I can never find a good man. I never make enough money to pay my bills. Money's gone by the end of the month. My relationships always end badly. I can never seem to get ahead in my career. I always hit a glass ceiling. And just pick one sentence, something that's really been bothering you. It's been bothering you for a long time. And I want you to write the word because at the end of that sentence. Like, I can't ever seem to find a good man because. And now I want you to just start to write down the first things that pop into your head. Just write them down as many as you can. But if it starts to become hard to think of them, then stop. You're done. It could be something that sounds completely outlandish, because very often we incorporate these beliefs when we're very little, and things don't really need to make sense. So these reasons are why these limiting beliefs are keeping you stuck. So When you've stopped thinking it comes really hard, then stop, put your pencil down, you're finished. So now you have several reasons that are there. So what do we do with these reasons? How do we get rid of them? Big question. So close your eyes and imagine that you have this beautiful box. Maybe it's about this size. What is that, like about 2 feet and about 2 feet and about 2 feet? And this box is yours. You can design it any way you want. It could be silver, it could be bronze, it could be wood, it could be cardboard covered in newspaper. This is yours. You can have it all painted. It is yours. And I want you to take a little time and really make this box yours, because this is a tool that you can use again and again. When you're ready, I want you to imagine that you are pulling these beliefs, these reasons for this belief, you're pulling them out of your body. You're taking them out of your solar plexus and you're putting it in the box. One at a time, you're putting them in the box. Putting them in the box. And when you're ready, there's a cover for the box. You put it on and you notice that on the side of the box is a button. And when you push that button, everything in the box goes and it's gone. It totally vanishes. This is a vanishing box. It vaporizes. And now it's gone. It's really gone. Trust me, it's gone. And now imagine that right next to you is this string just hanging down from the ceiling. And as you pull it, a beautiful golden shower just rains down all over you. You are just completely covered. And it's just streaming down, this gold, beautiful gold shower. It's abundance, and it's just filling you up. Feel it filling you up, it pouring into your crown, filling you up inside, extending outside, and it's replacing those beliefs. The belief that you released, and it replaces it with a feeling of well-being, a feeling of gratitude. So write down your observations. Take a moment, write down your observations in your notebook. And notice how you're feeling. Are you feeling any different? Are you feeling any lighter? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, another way that we get stuck in these patterns, and I touched on it earlier, is loss. So everybody experiences loss. It's just natural, part of life. When you have lost a loved one, or you have experienced a crippling accident, or the breakup of a really significant relationship, it can really affect you at your deepest core level. These are big things, and they can be so excruciating to deal with at the time that a lot of people don't deal with it. They just figure, it's going to get better with time. But that's not necessarily true, because as I explained earlier, we hold these issues in our bodies, in our energetic or emotional bodies. And as a result, you may notice that you feel sad. You've got this sadness that's always there. Or you just know that things are not right for you. And then there's something called hidden losses. Maybe something happened to you and you went on with your life and you just never dealt with it. You just kept going. You didn't realize how big it was. And it could be like a loss of your health. It could be the loss of your youth. It could be the loss of your beauty. Maybe you don't feel so sexy anymore. Or maybe you had a health crisis and it affected, there was a loss of your ability to function in a healthy way. Maybe there was a financial disaster. It's a lifestyle loss. Now, losses, as I said, they block the flow of energy. And just like feng shui in a house, that's another science of how energy flows in, in spaces. The energy needs to flow freely within your energetic being. And if it's not, if it's blocked, it can affect your finances, can affect your health, it can affect your self-esteem, it can affect you in so many different ways. It can affect your relationships, it can affect your cash flow, and your emotions around a painful divorce or a breakup. They can create a downhill spiral. I'm serious. This can, and once you start to spiral down, you start to attract other negative things. So I'm going to tell you a story of one of my clients. Her name is Josie, and she came to me after her mom died, and she lost her job both in the same week. And she was the main family breadwinner. And she was kind of freaked out because she had 2 kids in college. Her husband had a heart condition and he was working, but he did not make the same kind of money that she did. And she was pretty freaked out. And when you're in that position, you can attract a lot of other negative things. So it was really imperative that we get her turned around. And so I worked with her and managed to help her move into a much better space. And I gave her the tools to pull in something different in her life. And within about 3 to 4 weeks, she had pulled in a job. Now, it wasn't as good as her previous job. She's in a pretty high-tech area, sales area, very specialized. And she wasn't making as much money. However, it had potential and it covered all of the bills. So that was the key thing. Within 6 months, she was their top salesperson. Her salary had risen. She was getting vacations in Puerto Vallarta and all kinds of beautiful things. So she was feeling a lot better. So that's why we want to clear all of these negative, these blocks, these losses, these issues that can be keeping you stuck. Also, another one are past lives. Now, we all have them. We may not believe them. Past lives mean that we have been here many times before. And I do believe that because I've had a past life regressions and I've experienced clearing different issues that have totally affected my life. Once they were cleared, I felt so much better. And I had a client, we'll call Tanya, who was telling me that she has 2 kids. The younger one has autism, and she was really struggling. And the older one is a boy, and she just did not have that same relationship with him. She felt a lot of resistance to getting closer to him. And she was telling me, she said, I just feel so guilty, but I just can't do it. And I said, well, when you say this, I see a past life issue here. And she said, well, it's funny you say that because when he was little, I always used to see him the same face, but he was a little girl. And I saw him by a pool of water. And I said, yeah, because he drowned there. And she was the mom and felt such incredible guilt over that, the loss of her little girl, that she just couldn't bring herself to have that loving connection with him in this lifetime. So we just cleared that past life issue. She went home that night. They were just loving, just a great loving relationship after that. So, and then the last thing that I wanted to discuss with you are the energetic issues that can keep you stuck. And I touched on this also because so many of us are sensitive. So many of us are empaths. And as an empath, you feel other people's issues in your own body. It can be overwhelming. if you don't know how to deal with it. And so it's really important that you know how, if you understand, and there's nothing wrong with you if you are. I used to think there was something really wrong with me. I was an empath. I could not go into a crowded place, a party, without having asthma attacks. And you could say, well, it's social stress. What I was doing is I was feeling everybody's energy. And I, as an empath and a very caring person, I was taking it on. And it really was very difficult for my physical body. So it's very important that you understand that. And we have the subtle bodies, we have the chakras. And sometimes, these issues from being empathic can really affect us. And I'm going to tell you the story of a therapist that I worked with, who she came to me. She had like an eczema all over her body, and it was very itchy. And the doctors were trying to treat it with cortisone, but it really wasn't all that effective. And as we worked together, again, there was something that had to do with her being an empath. She suddenly realized spontaneously that she was carrying her mother's guilt and shame over a life or death emergency abortion her mother had when she was a baby. Now, there was no way that her mother had never told her. Nobody knew about this except the doctor, her mother, and her mother's mother. And the husband, and nobody had ever discussed it with her. But she, as a baby, had taken on that she wanted to help. She wanted to know, as an empath, she could feel it. She wanted to help. And so she took that on. And as a result, it created this rash all over her body. So you can feel very, very vulnerable. You can believe that the world isn't safe as an empath. You can also feel exhausted and drained when you're around specific people. And as I said, very often, empaths find themselves entangled in relationships with narcissists very often. So one of the things that you can do as you don't have to be an empath for this. It's very easy for people to become entangled in your energy field, and you may not sleep well at night if you don't clear it. So you can always cut. You can say, I'm now cutting all energetic cords, threads, or tentacles that are connecting me to other people, and visualize yourself cutting them. You can also ask Archangel Michael to do that. He's wonderful. He's very powerful. And he's one of my biggest helpers. So it's very important to do that, because then you won't be experiencing that entanglement. And I think that probably my time is about up. So before it is, I want to share with you my World Miracle Peace experiment that began on May 7th and ended on June 5th. And during that period of time, I came with the premise that since we are all energetically connected and that we are spiritual beings, that we could, and I've read about other experiments, including one by Dr. John Hagelin, who brought a group of transcendental meditation people into Washington, D.C. in 1993, and they meditated twice a day. The level of violence during that period in Washington, D.C. dropped 23%. Well, I didn't want to go physically to a place, but I do believe that we can unite in a unified field of consciousness, a field of love and peace and miracles. And so I didn't decide, I was inspired. This was a divine inspiration to begin this experiment. And when I did, it was so exciting. The level of violence in the Middle East, we were focusing on the Middle East from all over the world. We have somebody in Japan, somebody in Australia. This experiment where we all focused on this beautiful field, we created a field, and then we sent this love and peace over to the Middle East. The level of violence dropped. So that was exciting to me. It was the lowest level it had been in quite a while. And so we decided to continue the experiment with the Summer of Global Peace. And that's running till September 3rd. We'll probably continue it again. It's just so beautiful. And everybody on in the experiment that's been on the broadcast, people have been telling me how peaceful they are, that there's so much less stress at work, that they are happier, that they feel just they feel more uplifted. And it's a spiritual principle that the more that we give, the more we receive. That's not something that happens on the physical level, where if I give you a dollar bill, I don't have it. But on the spiritual level, as I share love and peace and blessings, it comes back to me. So try that out. Bless people when you meet them. Just send loving energy and see what comes back to you. You've got nothing to lose, but it's a spiritual principle. So I'm very excited about this World Miracle Peace Experiment. And I wanted to let you know that you could sign up for it at theworldpeaceexperiment.com. And that also that if you wanted to reach out to me, I have a website, MarBethDunn.com, and I will offer a free consultation at MarBethDunn.com/consult. So I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you, MarBeth, for the information this time. It has been very valuable, all that you shared with us today. We want to thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mirna.
To our audience, we also want to thank you for being here with us today. And we want to remind you, Mindalia TV is a nonprofit organization. Our only mission, share the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us by liking this channel, subscribing, sending this video to someone that you know can benefit from the content that we are sharing today. In this way, we can reach more and more people around the world. Also, we want to remind you, while we are live streaming, we have the active chat, and there you can enter your questions. Just please remember the format, the word question, the actual question that you have, and we will be happy to present that to MarBeth so she can answer. Without more delays, we're going to be starting. MarBeth, you are going to be hearing my voice. You won't see my face, but I'm right here, okay?
Okay.
The first question that we have: is there an age to be able to practice Kundalini?
I think there's not a particular age, because children practice Kundalini, and Kundalini yoga it's a very, very powerful yoga. I call it the Bullet Express of yoga. And it's just so beautiful. But there are exercises, there are kriyas that are taught to children. There is a special children's school in India where they teach the children Kundalini yoga. And also there are children's classes throughout the world.
Thank you so much. And how about senior citizens? Is that also an opportunity for them, or is there a time in which people can no longer incur in those?
No, you can do it. It's there. You can always adapt. Yoga is a wonderful thing, but you can adapt it to any age. And I know, like my granddaughters, my daughter's mother-in-law also practices Kundalini yoga. And I know when she often stays at their house, and the children just sit there and they do the different meditations with her. They practice the different positions. And I think that's a beautiful thing. They do it with me.
Thank you. The next question, it's a little bit long, but I'm going to try and see it. Once, a while ago, my friend started seeing a flame right in front of her eyes. It was just fire and she couldn't stop seeing it. It happened after a Kundalini meditation. She was super scared and didn't have anyone that could explain what was happening. So she stopped doing it. She stopped doing all sorts of meditation. What could that have been?
That's an interesting question. I have not had that experience. Um, I think, and I don't, let me just see. She might have been starting to open up her third eye to be seeing more types of visions. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know the symbolism of the flame, but I can think of several things it could be. But I don't want to just give an answer, and just say this is what it is, because, it's something that could be interpreted in many different ways.
Thank you so much, MarBeth. Next question. How to clean the second chakra?
Oh, okay. Well, there are a lot of different ways to clear it. Um, and it would be the same as clearing any of the chakras. For one, I do a chakra breath meditation, breathing in and out of the different chakras. You can also visualize the discs. There would be a disc in the front and a disc in the back of the chakra. The first chakra would be red and spinning. So you want to visualize them spinning. The second one would be orange and spinning. The third one would be gold and spinning. And as you see them spinning, it starts to balance them. To clear them that is a little bit more complex. And I mean, I could do that on a session with you, but I don't really want to get into into a great deal of depth right now. We don't have a huge amount of time.
Thank you so much, MarBeth. The next question is very similar. Can you recommend an exercise to open the throat chakra?
Yes. One of the things that I notice quite a bit with people is that your throat chakra seems to be clogged. It's, and you might feel like there's a lot of stuff going on in your throat. Very often, those are trapped emotions that you've been holding back. And one of the ways that I help people clear that is to help. I join them because I can project my energy. I work with people all over the world. Maybe put one hand on my solar plexus and have them do the same, and bring your awareness inside the throat and just feel what's going on inside there. As you acknowledge the emotions that you're feeling, they dissolve. So that would be a way of clearing it, because very often it could be words that you haven't spoken, and then it might be that maybe that you haven't been speaking them, and so that could be affecting you also. But it's a similar thing. You want to spin those chakras and visualize the color front and back, so that is a good way to balance it. If it feels clogged, then just bring your awareness into the feelings and just notice, sometimes emotions will come up when you're doing that. It can be a lot easier if you're doing that when you're working with someone.
Thank you so much. Next question is it true that daily products such as toothpaste or deodorant can keep the pineal gland hardened? What can we do to soften the pineal gland?
That's a very good, yeah. You want to not use, like I use deodorants that don't have any aluminum sulfite in them. I use toothpaste that's very pure. And there's different exercises that you can do to develop the pineal gland, just to try to eat more pure. Even fluoride is supposed to affect your pineal and pituitary glands. I filter out the fluoride in my house. I don't drink it if I can. Of course, if I'm going out to a restaurant or something, I try to get, purified or like bottled water, which of course has plastic, but it's, you just want to try to be as pure as you can. And then also there are exercises that you can do to develop them. And as you start to develop them, they'll start to open up, and purify. We're energy. A lot of this has to do with intention, like how my peace experiment, how we're shifting the awareness, how we're bringing love and peace to the Middle East and dissolving the hatred, dissolving the hostilities, dissolving the victimization. That's intention. So if you're surrounding your pineal and pituitary gland with love, you just see them with love, and love is the greatest healer in the world. And just know that they're opening up, they're softening, and they're developing. How's that?
Thank you. Sounds very interesting. The next question is, how did you realize you were an empath and that you had the gift that you have? How did you learn?
It took me most of my life to realize that I was an empath. I didn't know it. And when I was going through my Reiki training, after my Reiki training, I had a friend who worked did Reiki at a spa in Miami. And one day she said, I can't make it today. Could you work for me instead? So I went to the spa, and as I met everybody there, and the massage therapist there hugged me. The next morning I woke up and I just felt so icky. I felt like I'd been slimed, and I said, this doesn't feel like me. I recognized it didn't feel like me. So in my mind, I went back over the previous day. And when I got to the part where I hugged that therapist, I just that click of recognition. It was like, oh, I took on her stuff. And then it happened to me with someone else at Thanksgiving, an older woman. And I just felt out of sorts and icky for a few days. And that was like, oh, it's hers. And, and then I just cleared it and sent it to the light and sent her love and peace. And one of the things that I do as an empath is that I forgot the second part of that question. That's how I recognized it. And very often, you don't really feel safe. But our bodies love us. They love us, and they always want to do what's best for us. And I tend to be also clairsentient, but there's something that like there's a warning that I get warnings before something happens, like my chest will tighten. And then it was like, okay, my body's telling me I need to be aware before I go somewhere. And I ask, why? Why do I need to be aware? Is there something going on here? Is there somebody I need to be careful of? And I get the information, I clear it before I go. If I need to, and this is something, if you're an empath, you can just imagine yourself inside one of those beautiful disco balls that have the mirrors on the outside, and just know that you're inside. It's going to deflect and reflect anything that's not love. And so you're only allowing in what you want. So that's something that you can do. And then I also send a lot of love and peace and blessings to people. For example, I live in Parkland, Florida, I live 5 blocks from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, which had a major shooting on Valentine's Day. And when that was happening, I was sending love and peace to everyone that was involved, because I knew. I had that happen in the past. After our last election in the U.S., I was feeling all of this anxiety and depression, and it wasn't mine. And I couldn't seem to clear it, to shake it, until I realized it wasn't mine. It took me like a week or so, and I was like, oh, that's not mine. That's why I can't clear it. And when I did, I just sent love and peace to everyone who was experiencing it, that depression, that anger, whatever they were feeling. And it totally dissipated for me. I felt fine. So I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. The next question is, how can we break the patterns that are stopping us?
Well, it depends what the patterns are. Sometimes it can be as easy as recognizing it. And that's why it's important to take notes, to just sit there, with a notebook and think back on what are the similarities between this person and this person. Is there a similarity there? Sometimes it's a matter, once you see it and you can just set that intention that you're moving into a different experience, that will work. Now that can work, but we're not all one size fits all, which is why I created the energy management, because sometimes a tool works better for one person than it does for someone else. With patterns, I tend to work with patterns in a three-dimensional way. Sometimes there are ancestral patterns. Sometimes they are family patterns. Sometimes they are, just things that we've brought with us from other lifetimes. So I can't really answer that in a blanket way. I think one of the things, and I didn't really get into, I wanted to, but the time went so fast, there's a field of miracles. And when you are in that field, you're in your spiritual self, you're in this field, then the miracles can happen, relationships can shift. And one of the things that you can do on this level is to bring God, spirit, angels, however you want to do that, into that relationship or into that situation, and then it can shift. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you so much. The next question that we have is, I don't know what's stopping me from being better. I feel stagnant. But how can I identify what's the rock in my shoe?
Okay. So if we're doing that with a limiting belief, it's sort of like, I can never make more than X amount of money. I get to that point and I stop, and then my finances drop. I can never get beyond that point. So if you write, I can never get beyond that point, and then you write the word because, see what phrases, what answers come to you, because those are the limiting beliefs that are keeping you there. And then we do the exercise with the vaporizing box. You take those beliefs, you pull them out of you, and you put them in the box, and then you cover the box and you vaporize it, and now it's gone, and you just pull the string, have a beautiful golden shower of abundance and love and joy and peace, and there you go.
Thank you so much, MarBeth. The next question that we have says, I see a bright humanoid being always by my left hand side. Always. What do you think it could be?
I think it's a guide. I think it's a guide. Somebody who's there to help you.
Okay. Thank you so much. And the last question that we have, the spin of the chakras, should it look clockwise or counterclockwise?
It's really interesting that you ask that, because I was, when I was learning how to do that, I was told to do it clockwise, but then it was like, am I looking at it from inside and it's clockwise, or am I looking at it from outside and it's clockwise? Because those are two different things. So I just decided to do what was intuitively right for me. And that felt right. So I can't tell you what's going to be right for you. I would just ask, and this is something that you can do. You can always ask, is this right? Or should I do it this way or should I do it this way? And just see what feels better for you. Because I was just so confused when I was learning how to do it. It's like, well, is it clockwise, from inside or outside?
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Definitely leaving a blank space for upper guidance, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And now we have reached the end of today's talk. We want to thank MarBeth for her time, for her knowledge, for her kindness. And to our audience, we also want to thank you for being with us today, for sharing your time. And before leaving, we want to remind you one more time, Mindalia TV is a nonprofit organization. Our only mission just to help raise the level of consciousness around the world. And you can help us do that just by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment down below. In this way, you help us reach as much people as possible. And the platform in the website, we also have 3 websites in Spanish, in English, and in Portuguese. If you are knowledgeable in any of these languages, you're more than welcome to join us there. MarBeth, before leaving, we want to ask you to leave our audience with a positive thought, something that just comes to your mind that you want to leave with them.
I'm going to tell you that you are love. And I want you to remember that you are love, because that is the essence of what you are. Love is the very fabric of the universe. Love is the image of our Creator. And when you remember this and you are projecting love to everyone that you come in contact with, you're going to be elevating everybody around you. It's a beautiful thing. And yourself, because everything you give, you're giving to yourself. So as you are projecting love to other people and kindness, which is love in action, you are actually just creating blessings for yourself.
Thank you for your kind words, MarBeth. Thank you to our audience one more time for joining us on Mindalia live streaming. And until next time.
Thank you so much.